I keep you around to make my life easier, not question me, she snapped. I said, interesting, and let it go. Packed her things over the weekend while she was gone. She came home to boxes and my note. Find someone else to keep around. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. It took me 10 months to understand that I wasn't her boyfriend. I was her infrastructure. The realization didn't arrive as a sudden shock. It accumulated slowly, like sediment building at the bottom of something that used to be clear. Sarah and I had been together for a year and a half when she moved into my condo. Her roommate situation had imploded, her lease was ending, and I offered her a place to stay while she figured out her next step. The condo was mine, inherited from my grandmother 3 years earlier and renovated with my own hands over countless weekends. 2 bedrooms, a small garage for my motorcycle, nothing extravagant, but solidly mine. When Sarah moved in, it felt like progress, like we were building something. She never found her next step. That temporary arrangement solidified into permanence without either of us formally acknowledging it. The first few months, she contributed. We'd cook together on Sunday evenings, splitting the prep work and trading off who chose the menu. We'd tackle the apartment as a team, her wiping down counters while I vacuumed, both of us falling into an easy rhythm that felt like partnership. But somewhere around month 6, the equilibrium shifted. She started being too exhausted from work to help with dinner, too stressed to handle her share of the errands. I picked up the slack because that felt like what you did for someone you cared about. You covered for them during rough patches. Except the rough patch never ended. The coffee incident was small, almost laughably trivial in retrospect, but it marked the beginning of my education. I'd started making us both coffee every morning, a quiet ritual I enjoyed, something to start the day with care. One Wednesday, running late for a critical meeting, I skipped it. I poured my own cup on the way out the door. When I came home that evening, Sarah was cold. Clipped responses. When I finally asked what was wrong, she sighed with theatrical weight. You didn't make coffee this morning. I blinked. I was running late. There was coffee in the pot. You just had to pour it. I had a huge presentation. I needed that routine. Her voice carried an edge of accusation, as though I had sabotaged her professionally by failing to perform a service she'd simply grown accustomed to. I apologized, more to diffuse the tension than because I felt I'd done something wrong, and made her coffee the next morning, and every morning after. It became non-negotiable. If I forgot, she'd text me throughout the day with barbed little comments about her rough start. I noticed the pattern, but rationalized it. It was just coffee, not worth the conflict. Then there was the dinner party. It was month 7, maybe 8. Sarah wanted to host a few of her friends, Lisa, Emma, Kate. I spent the entire Saturday preparing while she went to brunch with those same friends. She came home around 4, pleasantly buzzed, and promptly fell asleep on the couch. I finished the cooking, set the table, cleaned the apartment until it looked like something out of a magazine. When her friends arrived and complimented the meal, Sarah accepted the praise with graceful modesty. This chicken is unbelievable, Sarah. Lisa gushed. Where did you even find this recipe? Oh, just something I found on Pinterest, Sarah said, smiling. Took forever, but I think it turned out well. I was bringing out another dish from the kitchen. Actually, Jake helped so much with the prep work, she interjected smoothly, patting my arm in a way that felt distinctly patronizing. I couldn't have pulled it off without him. Her friends nodded and moved on. I was the prep cook, the assistant, the help. Later, after everyone left and I was cleaning up, alone, naturally, I mentioned it. Why'd you take credit for that? She looked up from her phone, irritated at the interruption. I didn't. You told them you made it. You found the recipe. You pulled it off. I spent 6 hours cooking, Sarah. She exhaled through her nose, an expression of profound patience with unreasonable behavior. I found the recipe. I sent it to you last week. And it's not like I stood there and said I personally seared every piece of chicken, Jake. You're being weird about this. I just think it's strange that, can we not do this? Please. It was a nice evening. Don't ruin it by keeping score. I dropped it. The familiar guilt settled in, that I was being petty, oversensitive, the kind of person who turned pleasant nights into fights over nothing. By month 9, the errands had become a weekly ritual of resentment. Saturday mornings, before I was fully awake, she'd present me with a list. 8, sometimes 10 different stops scattered across the city. Dry cleaning, returns at 3 separate stores, specific groceries from the expensive market she preferred. One Saturday, I'd finally carved out the entire day to work on my motorcycle. It had been sitting in the garage, neglected, for months. I'd been looking forward to it all week. The simple, meditative work of fixing something with my own hands. She appeared in the doorway at 8 a.m. with the list. I need you to handle these today. I scanned the paper. Sarah, this is going to take all day. I know. I'd do it, but I have that yoga workshop. The workshop is 3 hours. These errands are 6 hours, minimum. Her expression shifted, that familiar tightening around her mouth. Jake, I have plans. You're just working on your bike. Yeah, because I haven't had time in 2 months. That's not my fault. Nobody's stopping you from working on it. I looked at her, standing there with the list still extended, and felt the absurdity crystallize. You literally are. Right now. Her face flushed. Wow. So me asking you for one favor is stopping you from your hobby? That's how you want to frame this. The guilt response was Pavlovian. That's not what Forget it. I'll just cancel my plans and do it myself. God forbid I ask my boyfriend for help. I took the list. I'll do it. She brightened instantly. You're the best. I did all 8 errands. The motorcycle stayed untouched. Looking back, I can see the pattern clearly. At the time, each incident felt isolated, small conflicts that could be smoothed over, rough patches that would pass. I was operating under the assumption that we were partners experiencing temporary imbalance. I didn't yet understand that the imbalance was the point. She wasn't struggling to contribute. She had simply stopped seeing contribution as her role. The flu incident should have been my awakening. I got genuinely sick. Fever, chills, the kind of illness that renders you immobile. I called in sick to work and spent the day trying to survive. Sarah came into the bedroom before leaving for work, already dressed, scrolling her phone. What's the plan for dinner? I could barely lift my head. Leftovers in the fridge. She made a sound of annoyance. I don't want leftovers. Can you order something before I get home? Sarah, I can barely move. It's just your phone. 3 clicks. Can you do it? A heavy sigh. I guess. Do you need anything from the store? Maybe some. Actually, I'm running late. Text me if you think of anything. She left. No. How are you feeling? No offer to pick up medicine. No acknowledgement that I was suffering. She came home 8 hours later with takeout for herself and seemed annoyed that I was still in bed. 2 months later, she got a cold. A mild one. I brought her medicine before she asked, made soup from scratch, checked on her every hour, fluffed her pillows, kept the apartment quiet. She accepted all of this as natural order. Expected service. It didn't occur to her that the disparity was grotesque. A week before everything collapsed, I had a moment of perfect clarity. It was a Tuesday evening. I was sitting in my own living room, and I felt exhausted. Not physically tired, existentially depleted. My friends had stopped inviting me places because I was always busy doing her errands. My hobbies had atrophied. The apartment was immaculate because I maintained it. The fridge was stocked because I shopped. Meals appeared because I cooked. Sarah walked in from work, didn't greet me, and said, "Did you pick up my prescription?" I had. Of course I had. And in that moment, I understood. This wasn't partnership. This was a job I hadn't applied for and wasn't being paid to perform. The fight happened Thursday night. I came home around 6:30 after a brutal day at work. A system failure that kept me late, working through lunch, fixing everyone else's crisis. I was drained. The apartment was destroyed. Her coffee mug from the morning still sat on the table. Her clothes from when she'd changed earlier were draped over the furniture. Mail scattered across the counter. Dishes piled in the sink. Sarah was on the couch in her work clothes, watching Netflix. She'd clearly been home for a while. "Hey," she said, not looking up. "Hey, did you grab dinner?" "No. I thought maybe you would." She looked at me, annoyed. "I just got home like an hour ago. I've been decompressing." I looked at the coffee mug from this morning. The evidence of her prolonged presence was everywhere. "Were you planning to clean any of this up?" "Clean what?" I gestured at the chaos. "This. Your stuff everywhere." Instant defensiveness. "I was going to. I just sat down for a second. An hour ago." Her eyes narrowed. "Are you seriously timing me right now?" I wasn't trying to start a war. I was just tired. Tired of this. But she was already escalating. "I'm asking if you're going to clean up after yourself." She muted the television and turned to face me fully, arms crossed. What is your problem tonight? I don't have a problem. You've been weird all week. Distant. Short with me. Forgetting things. I haven't been forgetting things. I've been choosing not to do them. She blinked. What's the difference? Something inside me gave way. When's the last time you cooked dinner? I don't know. Why does that matter? When's the last time you cleaned the bathroom? Went grocery shopping? Did anything around here that wasn't directly, exclusively for you? Are you keeping score? Her voice went sharp. Is that what this is? You're tallying who does what. I'm not keeping score. I'm pointing out that I do everything. That is not true. But she hesitated, searching for examples. I contribute. I pay for groceries sometimes. You Venmo me $20 once a month. The grocery bill is $200. Her face flushed red. I can't believe you're coming at me like this. I work too, Jake. I'm exhausted too. Then why do you come home and do nothing while I come home and do everything? The question hung there, stark and unanswerable. She changed tactics, shifting from defense to offense. You know what I think this is really about? You resent me. You resent that I have a life outside this apartment, that I have friends and interests, and I'm not content to just organize the garage all weekend like you. That's not. You like being the responsible one. It makes you feel superior, like you're so much better than me because you meal prep and color code your closet. I stared at her. I meal prep because otherwise we wouldn't eat. I keep the apartment clean because otherwise it would be a disaster. See? There it is. We wouldn't eat. Like I'm some helpless child who can't feed herself. When's the last time you made yourself dinner when I wasn't here? I can take care of myself just fine. Then why don't you? Because I don't have to. The words came out loud, almost triumphant. Because you're here. That's what partners do. They help each other. Help goes both ways, Sarah. I help you, she insisted, but the conviction was crumbling. How? She floundered. I support you. Emotionally. I'm there for you. When have you been there for me? All the time. I had the flu 2 months ago. You didn't check on me once. You asked me to order you dinner from bed because you didn't want leftovers. I was busy. You're always busy. But somehow I'm never too busy to do things for you. Her voice went cold, clinical. You know what your problem is, Jake? You think doing basic household tasks makes you special. Like cooking and cleaning are these grand achievements. I don't think they're achievements. I think they're things adults do to maintain their lives. Well, congratulations on being an adult. Do you want a trophy? I want a partner. She laughed, bitter and sharp. A partner? You don't want a partner. What else would I want? She looked at me like I was stupid, like the answer was so obvious it didn't need to be spoken. You want someone to take care of. Someone to make you feel needed. That's your whole identity. My identity is taking care of you? Yes. You love it. You need to be needed. Otherwise, what are you? The cruelty of it was breathtaking. I don't need to be needed, Sarah. I'd actually love it if you pulled your weight for once. Then why do you do it? Nobody's forcing you. You hand me lists. You get annoyed when I don't make your coffee. And you do it. Because deep down, you want to. Because it makes you feel important. I felt something crack. Who I am. You don't even know who I am anymore. I haven't been myself in months because I'm too busy being your. I stopped myself. Your what? She pressed, sensing blood. Your assistant. Oh, here we go? The victim complex. I'm not playing victim. I'm stating fact. You think you're my assistant? Really? What else would you call it? I cook, clean, run your errands, manage your life. Because you choose to. Because that's what you do. Some people lead, and some people support. Your support. That's just reality. The word landed like a slap. Support. And your role is what? The person I support. My role is living my life and using me to make it easier. That's not. I looked at her directly, the question crystallizing into something sharp and unavoidable. Is it or isn't it, Sarah? Do you see me as a partner or as someone who makes your life easier? She was cornered. I could see it in her eyes, the moment she realized she'd backed herself into honesty. She said it clearly, matter-of-factly, as though it were the most reasonable thing in the world. I keep you around to make my life easier, not question me. The silence that followed was total. She seemed surprised she'd said it aloud. I was surprised she'd said it aloud. But there it was, the truth, naked and grotesque between us. I went very calm. The anger drained away, replaced by something colder and far more final, clarity. Interesting, I said. I didn't mean it like, no, that's actually really interesting. Really clarifying. Jake, I held up my hand. I'm going for a walk. We're not done talking. Yeah, we are. I grabbed my keys and wallet and left. She called after me, but I didn't respond. I didn't look back. I walked for over an hour through the cooling evening, past familiar streets that felt different now, like I was seeing them from the outside of my own life. Every errand I'd run for her. Every dinner I'd cooked while she scrolled her phone. Every weekend I'd sacrificed. It all made sense now. She hadn't been taking me for granted in the traditional sense. She genuinely believed this was the natural order. Some people were builders, and some people were infrastructure. I was infrastructure. I existed to support her life, not to have my own. The realization wasn't painful. It was liberating. I sat on a bench and made 2 phone calls. The first was to Marcus, my friend who owned a small moving company. I kept it brief. Need help moving someone out. Saturday morning. Can you do it? There was a pause. Marcus had met Sarah. Her. Yeah. Finally. What time? 8 a.m. She'll be gone. Work conference in Chicago. Back Sunday night. I'll bring the van and my brother. You good? I'm good. The second call was to a locksmith. Saturday afternoon appointment, confirmed. I went home around 10. Sarah was still up, sitting on the couch, looking worried. Good. Where were you? Walking. For 2 hours? Yeah. She stood, trying for reconciliation. Look, about what I said, I'm tired. We'll talk tomorrow. We should talk now. Tomorrow, Sarah. Fine. Whatever. I went to the bedroom. She followed eventually, tried to initiate some version of physical reconnection, apology or manipulation, or simply habit. I lay facing the wall, unresponsive. She gave up. I didn't sleep. I planned. Friday morning was Arctic. I made coffee, only mine. She noticed immediately. So we're going to talk? She asked, standing in the kitchen doorway. About. Last night. What I said. What about it? I was angry. I didn't mean it the way it sounded. How did you mean it? Not like I don't value you. Do you? Of course I do. You know that. Okay. She waited for more. Apology, anger, something. I gave her nothing. That's it. Just okay. What do you want me to say? I don't know. Forgiveness? Understanding. Have a good trip to Chicago. Jake, you're going to be late. She left frustrated and confused. I watched her Uber pull away from the window and felt nothing but resolve. I started immediately. Friday afternoon, I left work early and began the sorting. What was hers, what was mine? The division was easier than I expected. She'd spread out, claimed space in every room, but hadn't actually brought much of substance. Clothes, toiletries, decorative items she'd purchased. Things that filled space without adding value. Saturday morning, Marcus arrived at 8 with his brother and a van. It took us 6 hours to pack everything properly and transport it to a storage unit. I paid the first month up front. The locksmith came at 2. By 3, new locks were installed. By 4 p.m., her boxes were stacked neatly outside my apartment door. I taped an envelope to the top box containing her old key and a note I'd written in careful, emotionless prose. Sarah, your belongings are in storage at address, Unit 47. The access code is code. The first month is paid. I've changed the locks. You are not welcome here. You said you keep me around to make your life easier. Find someone else to keep around. Do not contact me. Jake, I went inside, ordered pizza, and watched a documentary in the profound silence of my reclaimed space. Sunday night, my phone began vibrating with blocked calls. 17 in the first 2 hours. Then texts from numbers I didn't recognize. Her friends' phones, clearly. My key doesn't work. Where are my things? This isn't funny. I blocked each new number systematically and responded to none of them. Monday morning brought an email from a freshly created account. This is psychotic. You can't just kick someone out. I'm calling a lawyer. I didn't respond. She had no legal standing, no rent paid, no lease signed. Legally, she was a guest who had overstayed. Tuesday, security at my office called. Sarah was in the lobby, asking to see me. Please escort her out. I don't want any contact. She made a scene. My co-workers mentioned it later with raised eyebrows. I offered no explanation. Wednesday, her friend Lisa called. What happened? Sarah said you kicked her out over a fight. That's an incomplete version of events. She's devastated, Jake. She has nowhere to go. She has 10 months of rent she didn't pay. That should cover temporary housing. That's cruel. Is it? Or is it the natural consequence of taking someone for granted? You can't just. I can, Lisa. And I did. She's not my responsibility anymore. I blocked Lisa's number. Over the following weeks, the reports filtered back to me through mutual connections. Sarah was couch surfing. A few days with Lisa, until Lisa's boyfriend grew tired of the drama. Then Emma's place, until Emma realized Sarah's version of events didn't match reality. Her sister, until her sister started asking pointed questions. The real story was leaking out. Marcus had told a few people, my coworkers had witnessed her public scene. The gaps in her narrative were becoming obvious. Friends who had initially sympathized were pulling back, reassessing. By week 4, she'd moved back in with her parents, 45 minutes outside the city. Meanwhile, my life achieved a quietness I hadn't experienced in years. The first few days felt strange. The apartment seemed larger, emptier. Then it felt peaceful. Then it felt like mine. I cooked meals I wanted, watched programs I enjoyed. The apartment stayed cleaner because I was only maintaining one person's life. I reconnected with friends I'd neglected, joined my old soccer league, started working on my motorcycle again. I slept deeply. A month in, I got promoted at work. My supervisor mentioned I seemed more present, more focused. I was. The constant low-grade stress of managing someone else's dysfunction had evaporated, and the mental bandwidth it freed up was staggering. 3 months after I ended it, her attempts to contact me shifted in tone. The anger dissolved into desperation. New accounts, new numbers, all variations of the same theme. I know I messed up. Can we please talk? You were right about everything. I see that now. I miss you. I miss us. I saw them in a filtered folder I'd created, read them with clinical detachment, and never responded. Month 4 brought her sister to my door. I saw her through the camera before she rang the bell. Amy. She looked up at the lens. Jake. Can we talk? Face to face. Not particularly interested. It's about Sarah. She's not doing well. That's unfortunate. That's it. That's all you have to say. What would you like me to say? That you'll talk to her. Give her another chance. She's sorry, Jake. She's learned. Good. She can apply those lessons to her next relationship. You're being cruel. Am I? She told me she kept me around to make her life easier. I stopped making her life easier. That's not cruelty. That's logic. She didn't mean it the way it sounded. Yes, she did. And I believe her. I believe that's exactly how she saw me, and probably still does. She's not sorry for the worldview. She's sorry it didn't work out for her. Amy was quiet for a moment. She's living with our parents. She's miserable. Then she has a clear incentive to work on herself. Don't you care what she's going through? I cared for 10 months while she treated me like staff. I'm done caring now. I ended the call. Month 5, I was at a company happy hour, a public event at a bar downtown. I was with coworkers, actually enjoying myself, when I saw her. Sarah, standing near the entrance, scanning the room. She spotted me. Our eyes met. My coworkers sensed the shift in energy and suddenly needed refills. She approached. We stepped outside. I didn't know you'd be here, she said, though we both knew that was a lie. It was posted publicly. Can we talk? Really talk? I looked at my watch. You have a minute. She flinched. I'm sorry, Jake. For everything. I was wrong. Leo wasn't. I mean, I wasn't seeing anyone. I was scared. Scared of settling. But I was such an idiot. What we had was real. Can't we try again? No. Just like that. Just like that. Her eyes filled. Why? Because I don't want to. I've changed. Good. Be different for the next person. I made a mistake. You made a choice. You chose to treat me like I existed to serve you. I chose to leave. We both got what we chose. One fight shouldn't end 3 years. It wasn't one fight, Sarah. It was months of you using me while I convinced myself I was being a good partner. The fight just made it impossible to pretend anymore. She was crying now. Please. I'm begging. I wasn't cruel. I was simply honest. I don't love you anymore. I don't even think I like you. And I'm not going to pretend otherwise because you're sad. You're an asshole. Maybe. But I'm not your asshole anymore. I walked back inside. She stood there for a moment, then left. My coworker approached. You okay? Yeah. I'm good. And I was. 6 months after I ended it, life had settled into a new normal. The condo felt like mine again. I joined a hiking group, started seeing a woman named Rachel. Easy, kind, someone who valued reciprocity. Work was thriving. I'd reconnected with old friends. The motorcycle ran beautifully. Marcus sent me a screenshot of something Sarah had posted, something vague about learning who really has your back. We both laughed. I heard she was still living with her parents, still struggling to find her footing, still, presumably, looking for someone to make her life easier. I thought of her without anger, without satisfaction, without much of anything. She was a chapter I'd closed, a lesson I'd learned, a version of myself I'd outgrown. My story wasn't about her anymore. It was about the choice I'd made to stop being infrastructure and start being a person again. And that person was doing just fine. Thanks for watching.